And they were the at least nine Tejanos that fought in the Alamo. There may have been more. We do not know. There was also one from Vermont, several from Virginia. And they were from foreign countries. Denmark, several from England, Ireland, Germany, Scotland, Wales, France, and some other countries as well. And, Mr. Speaker, I would like unanimous consent to introduce into the record the defenders who fell at the Alamo and the states or countries that they were from.
Without objection.
As I mentioned, they were all volunteers. They did not look like an army. They were everything from lawyers, doctors, shopkeepers, frontiersmen, adventurers, people who had served in other armies. They were all, though, freedom fighters who volunteered to go into the Alamo on February the 23rd. Commanding the Alamo was my favorite person in all of history, William Barrett Travis. William Barrett Travis was a lawyer. That's one reason I like him. I'm a lawyer. But he was a 27-year-old individual, first born in South Carolina, raised in Alabama, and found his way to Texas, and he was a revolutionary. He wanted independence for the state of Texas, or the Republic of Texas. And he took command of the Alamo, and he sent out scouts, would be the term, asking that people who lived in the area come to the Alamo and help defend the Alamo, fight against this imperialistic dictator, and get Texas independence. He sent his best friend, who also came from South Carolina, Jim Bonham, out as a scout along with others. Juan Seguin was one, trying to get folks to come to help out at the Alamo. Unfortunately, only one small town responded in the affirmative, and that was Gonzales, Texas, where it all began. 32 volunteers from Gonzales, all men, young men, primarily the entire population of Gonzales, Texas, marched from Gonzales to the Alamo. They were the only reinforcements that went. Now, if you would, Mr. Speaker, think about frontier life, the harsh frontier, where the male population, basically the entire male population of a small town, leaves, headed to the Alamo, where they figured that they were not going to be able to return. The ones that were left were those strong-willed frontiers women and their children, who later had to forge their own history absent their spouses. Remarkable women, remarkable men who went to the Alamo. It's said in history that when these 32 defenders showed up at the Alamo, Travis looked down and said to his friend, "They came here to die." Now, William Barrett Travis, in his plea for help to go and fight for liberty, independence, as I told you, most of the folks did not go. They were there already, the ones that were going to fight. He sent out many dispatches, and he sent a letter in asking that people go to the Alamo. I have a copy of that letter. I have another copy on my wall in my office. I have had that since the days I was a prosecutor and a judge in Texas. And many other members of Texas have what I think is the most passionate plea for liberty written by anybody anywhere in the world. So you see the surroundings. 186 men surrounded by thousands of other enemy military. And here's what he said in that letter, Mr. Speaker. And it's dated February the 24th, 1836, at the Alamo. To all the people of Texas, fellow citizens and compatriots, I am besieged by 1,000 or more of the enemy under Santa Anna. I have sustained a continuous bombardment and cannon fire for over 24 hours, but I have not lost a man. The enemy has demanded surrender at its discretion. Otherwise, the fort will be put to the sword. I have answered that demand with a cannon shot, and the flag still waves proudly over the wall. I shall never surrender. I shall never retreat. I call upon you in the name of liberty, patriotism, and everything dear to our character to come to my aid with all dispatch. If this call is neglected, I am determined to sustain myself for as long as possible and die like a soldier that never forgets what is due his honor and that of his country. Victory or death, William Barrett Travis, commander of the Alamo. We all know what happened later. He and his fellow freedom fighters were killed. Some historians say that before it was impossible to leave the Alamo, William Barrett Travis brought the whole group, garrison, 186 volunteers, drew a line in the sand and said, if you're with me, cross the line. Everybody crossed. Had the opportunity to leave. They did not. And after 13 days of glory, if you will, at the Alamo, Travis and his men sacrificed their lives on the altar of freedom. March the 6th, 1836. And that's why I mentioned March the 6th. It's March the 6th. It is an anniversary of those people who gave up their lives willingly to fight for freedom. Similar to the history of the United States. You know, America took 7 years to gain independence from the British, lost a lot of lives, men and women, during that. It seems as though freedom always has cost. Good things always do. Important things always do. Because you see, some people in history have down in their soul, Mr. Speaker, that living free is more important than anything, including their own lives. And if they can't live as free people, they will fight and give up their lives in exchange for that belief. Those are remarkable people that have done that throughout history all over the world. But today, we remember those 186 defenders of the Alamo. People like William Barrett Travis, Davy Crockett from Tennessee, Jim Bowie from Louisiana, the 11 Tejanos that I have mentioned, because they were willing to do that. Travis said in the last letter that he sent from the Alamo that defeat will be worse for Santa Anna, victory will be worse for Santa Anna than defeat because of the losses. Turns out that was true. He was able to delay Santa Anna's march into Texas while the Texas Army was being built, surrounded by their commander, General Sam Houston. We'll get to in a minute. Jim Bonham is another person of interest, I think. He was the scout, along with Juan Seguin, who went out to send the word, come to the Alamo for help. When he got to Washington on the Brazos, legend says, when he got to Washington on the Brazos, where the Texas Republic was being formed on March the 2nd, 1836, drafting the Declaration of Independence, he asked for those men there to come to the Alamo. They refused to do it. They said building a government, forming a government was more important than going to the Alamo. Bottom line, they didn't go. So he gets on his horse and he starts to ride back to the Alamo. The men there at Washington on the Brazos tried to stop him. What are you doing? You will be killed. And he said,